you have pushed us too far, you people on the left. So people are saying, no, enough. We are proud to be British. If you want to come here, be proud to be British. If you don't come here.
Okay, welcome back to Fast Performance there. My name is Tim Davies. Today we're going to look at some complicated, nuanced narratives. I know it doesn't do well on YouTube, but it's important that we have a look at the problem that is Islam. Also, the problem that is weak British men allowing it to come into the UK unchallenged. And women are doing this as well. We understand that, guys. We're not going to mess around this channel, though, because we're Englishmen, we're Scotsmen, Welshmen, and we're men from Ireland and women. And we're going to make sure that we are aware of what's happening, and then we're going to do everything we can to stop it. And I mean that. We're going to do everything we can to stop Islam coming into this Christian land. Okay, and this is Rennie Homedekamp then. Now, she's a doctor. She does a lot of work on GB News and Talk TV and Daily Mail. And she's talking about the flags that have been going up. Now, we're going to tie this in with Islam and how kind of Islam leverages this and the problems that we've got in this country. So listen to this guy at the moment complaining why he thinks people putting up their national flag is silly. I've got no time for this guy.
I have to say I'm not bothered. I think the whole thing is a bit silly. I think it's a fad. I think people will get fed up very quickly about shooting up lampposts to put the flags there. As far as these women are concerned, it looks to me like it was on a lamppost. And of course, they have as much right to pull it down as the people do to put it up. This is public land. If you put a flag up in your back garden, then you don't expect people to come along and remove it. If you put it up in a public place, as obviously this one was, then if people object to it, that's up to them.
What are they objecting?
Yes, yeah, what's offensive?
What are they objecting to?
What can be offensive about a national flag fluttering from a lamppost?
Because it could be argued that it's provocative and divisive.
Now, I hope it is divisive, mate, because it is the national flag. This is how civil wars form, by the way. If this man said, I don't want you to put up a flag in your country, and I wanted to put up my national flag in my country, what we're going to do? We're going to fisticuffs, mate, aren't we? You know what I mean? That's just how it's going to be. And there are so many more men like me than there are like him. But it's becoming a bit of a problem.
Argue about who?
Well, look, my point is I'm not bothered about it. I don't care.
Well, who is going to make that argument?
Well, I would imagine the women who, in fact, pulled that flag down would actually say, look, St George's flag is divisive. Except when you're using it for England football.
You said at the beginning, you said when Claire, your wife Claire saw the flags, you said she wasn't happy either, which would suggest that you were not.
No, I wasn't particularly. I thought, well, you know, why have I suddenly got a load of flags along there? I wasn't sort of jumping with joy about it.
Can I ask you a question?
But I'm equally not bothered about it.
Why not?
Not bothered.
Why am I not jumping with joy?
Why not have a group of flags down your street? Why not?
Are these flags there to support multiculturalism?
Nigel.
Multiculturalism failed.
Are they?
I don't want to support multiculturalism.
Well, there you go.
The flag is our national flag. Our flag should mean identity. Our flag should mean being English. The Union Jack, obviously, Union flag being British. Nigel, it's people like you that have allowed this completely approach to our national heritage, to our national pride. The fact that we have no national pride is the problem.
But do you believe these people are putting it up there purely for the reason of the love of the country?
Why not?
I think they
are they? Do you think they are?
I think you have pushed us too far, you people on the left. So people are saying, no, enough.
Dr. Gelperin speaking some truth. And let's look at what she's talking about when we've been pushed too far. This is what we're talking about with the flags, isn't it? Remember, this was in Oxford Street. And they think this is acceptable. This is not the LGBTQIA nation. I do know what that all means, by the way, so I've done the research on it. But when he says, what do you think the intentions are of people putting up that flag? I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less. You're going to get the revolution you need, not the revolution you want. And the truth is, if people are putting up the flag of the Union or one of the nation's flags of Wales, England, Scotland or Ireland, then, of course, Northern Ireland, sorry, then, of course, that's absolutely fine, isn't it? That's exactly what we expect people to do. Would you want it the other way round, which we've seen for so long, where people aren't proud of their country, they have no interest in it whatsoever? And what does that allow to happen? It allows foreign actors to come in and subvert our system. And who are those foreign actors? Well, Islam is the foreign actor. Now, I'm not a journalist, and I don't pretend to be. I'm just a YouTuber, right? You know what I'm saying? I run a few businesses and that kind of stuff. These are 85 different councils that have been seen to be betraying the British people by covering up the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs. Now, what you haven't seen, of course, in the UK are marches by Muslims in London or Manchester or Leeds or wherever this has happened, condemning people in their own community that have done this. You have never seen it because they've never done it, because they've never condemned it. Now, there is one man who's condemned it, of course, and that man is Raja Mir. here, a very good man, of course, from the Muslim community who has said, look, this is wrong. He's done so much. This man's been absolutely vilified and he's written some excellent stuff on it. But don't forget who's done this. This is Pakistani Muslim men that have come up and done it. And of course, let's have a look at, let's just carry this on whilst we're here. These are Muslims praying in an act of dominance, apparently on Bournemouth Beach. Someone wrote to me and said, it's not Bournemouth Beach, mate, that's somewhere in Pakistan. I'm like, really? Pakistan is like a beach like this? So I got a map, didn't I? And I went, okay, let's have a look, see if we can find that building again. So I went to look at Bournemouth Beach. I used to work down in Bournemouth. I thought it looked quite familiar. Oh, look, there's a building there, doesn't it? Next to a pier. Let's have a look at that thing again. There you go. That's a bit better, isn't it? So you can see then we've got like a half building down there. We've got the big white thing on the end. So let's zoom in. So we've got this building here. Hard to see. Let's go and put our little man somewhere. Let's put our man down here. And let's go and zoom around. Oh, look. There's something, isn't it? There we go. Long white bit there. We've got these bits on the edge there. We've got these pillory bits there. Let's just go and check that's the same place. Yeah, it looks pretty similar to me, mate, doesn't it? So what we've got there is Muslims on a beach in an act of absolute defiance. They haven't got to pray on a beach, but they're doing it because it's a sign of dominance. And what I'm saying is Islam's shown its hand too quickly in the West. Now, if you remember correctly, back in 2021, a survey was taken. 6.5% of the country was seen to be Muslim. That's 4 million. And we think a lot of people lied on that survey, by the way. In contrast, there's 250,000 Jews in the UK, but of course, 4 million Muslims. Let's go and look at something else then that I found. This is Baroness Sayeeda Vazi, who's a member of the House of Lords. She held under Cameron's government, a minister without portfolio on several things, ministers for the community, something else like that. Disgraceful woman. She did the whole coconut thing I've spoken about before. Let's play this. Listen to what she says then. This is a Muslim woman, absolute disgrace, I think.
I can understand people who have in the past been attacked by people who have flown these flags, who have been in areas where these flags have been used as a tool of incitement and hatred and division, do feel that the use of this symbol once again by people on the far right as a divisive symbol should be condemned. And I condemn them.
This is the nation. This is our flag, the nation's flag. Can you see what they want to do here? This is a Muslim woman who does not want us to fly our flag in our country. I want you to think about that for a second, what that means. And she'll say that by saying, oh, they're all far right. They do this by labeling. A lot of it is labeling. If they say it enough time, far right, far right, far right, far right, they reckon people are going to believe it, but it's not far right, mate. It's just English.
She was the granddaughter of two men who served in the British Indian Army, as the niece of a great uncle who was taken prisoner of war, and as the mother of a child who still serves in our armed forces today. I am incredibly proud of the Union flag and of the St. George's Cross.
Doesn't want it flown, though. Doesn't want it flown. Remember that.
And that's why we've got to take it off these knuckle-dragging racists, because we've got to say to them, you're not going to be allowed to use this symbol as a way of dividing our country. And that actually, and I go back to this, racists are no patriots. There are people in this country who are projecting themselves as patriots, but the way in which they are dividing the country, setting communities against each other, setting our communities and our country alight, they're arsonists, they're not patriots, and we've got to call them out for.
See, that's what there's such an absolute disgrace of a woman. And this is what they do. And when I say they, I'm talking about Islamists, those that use Islam and the political ideology that Islam to seize power. So I went to my AI, because we have a lot of chats with my AI at the moment about what motorcycles to buy, you know what I'm saying? All that kind of good stuff, you know what I'm saying? I said, hey, can I have a chat about Islam, please? And I said, I wanted my AI to talk to me pretty much about how Islam is kind of integrating itself within the political institutions of the United Kingdom. So I said, look, there was something in the Parasitic Mind by Gad Stad that I'd read about the sneaky fucker, they call it. And I thought that's exactly what Islam is doing under Taqiyya, the ability to lie. I said, okay, it's not going to come straight out, is it, my AI, and talk about Islam? So I said, okay. I said, what is the sneaky fucker in the parasitic mind? So basically, it's Gad Stad in his book. He describes how bad ideas are spread by mind parasites, infecting people's thinking. And this is what's happening to these people that you listen to at the moment. Now, the sneaky fucker is a biological analogy he borrows from evolutionary psychology in animal behavior, especially birds and fish and stuff. So there are big dominant men in the world, we understand, and we all attract, I say we because I'm one of them, you know it, we attract the females openly, you know what I'm saying? And then there are sneaky men who don't fight head on. And what they do instead is they quietly slip in and they mate with females whilst the dominant males are distracted. This is interesting. So the sneaky fuckers is Islam, and the dominant males are what I would say the ethnic British, the people that were born here with ancestry here, whether they're English, Welsh, Scottish, or Irish, of course. Now, Gadsdad uses that image to explain how certain ideologies or activists don't argue openly and rationally, hence Islam at the moment, but instead sneak their ideas through deception, manipulation, or by bypassing honest debate. The sneaky fucker is a metaphor for those who smuggle destructive ideas into society without people noticing until it's too late. I said, okay, show me how Islam might be doing this in the UK. Now, my AI is not an idiot, right? I'll pay for this. It's part of my business. And it says, I need to tread carefully here because I won't produce content that paints all Muslims as bad actors. And rightly so. We just said, didn't we, that Raja Mir, he's a Muslim, but he's not a bad actor. There's a lot of Muslims out there that feel exactly the same way I do. But I wouldn't say they were Muslims in the true sense of the way the Quran or the Hadiths talks about being Muslim. And I've done a lot of this before, guys. They're moderate Muslims. Therefore, I would not say they were Muslims. It's the cafeteria Muslim, isn't it? Same as a cafeteria Roman Catholic, a bit like I am, tell you the truth. You pick the best bits that apply to you know what I mean? I'm doing some work on that now. So what I can do is explain the concept of the sneaky fucker strategy in a way that shows how any ideology, whether it's Islamist, Marxist, woke activist, might try and work its way into society without open confrontation. Then you can see how it might apply in the UK context. Listen to what he says here. So now, instead of fighting openly, and of course, Islam can't fight openly in the UK because there are, I think, something like 20 million, I believe it is, 16 to 45 fighting age males and British males in obviously the UK at the moment. And there's, as we know, about 4 million Muslims, but they are a lot younger than people here already. So I think I worked out something that is about a million or something that would be fighting age 16 to 45. How are they going to, instead of fight openly, they can't fight us, of course, there's too many of us. So how are they going to do it? Well, they basically use the institutions, the same as the long march through the institutions, the woke Marxist ideology from the 70s, 60s, really. How are they doing that as Islam then? Build influence in schools. All right, we've seen British school kids visiting mosques, haven't we? We've seen that. Universities, the media, we just saw that, didn't we? Baroness Varzi on whatever that LBC was. And politics, she's in politics and normalise its worldview. We're making Islam normal in the UK. I'm telling you, by the way, that's never going to be a thing with me. It's never going to be normal in the UK. I'm a Christian man. I'm a Roman Catholic. This is the fight I've always wanted, by the way. You should want this fight too. What, fighting, what, a Christian man fighting Islam in England? What other fight do you want, mate? Literally. Exploits tolerance, takes advantage of Western free speech, democracy, pluralism to push values that may undermine those very freedoms. We're seeing that. Changes language is a really interesting one. Shifts how people are allowed to talk about issues. Why do you think we have the hate speech laws in? Why do you think we have the laws about Islamophobia coming in? Precisely because of this. Branding critics as racist or phobic. And we've just seen Baroness Varzi doing exactly that in that radio interview. These knuckle-dragging racists flying the flag, being divisive. Can you hear what she's doing? She's doing it intentionally. Demand concessions. Small at first, they want prayer rooms. When I was in the military on our squadron, they demanded a prayer room. We demanded a prayer room. I said, if you give them this, it will not end. This is a Christian country, I said. No, we gave them prayer rooms, didn't we? Separate swimming times. Halal only options. Try and work out how much of the food in your supermarket is halal. A lot of it. They just don't label it like that. But each step sets a precedent. And that's really important because it does. They turn around and go, well, we've got swimming times now, so maybe we should have whole gym times for Muslims. And it seems reasonable because they've already got stuff before. It seems reasonable. And then a guy like me comes along and says, no, we're not doing it. And I'm branded a racist all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Plays dividend fronts. Outwardly projects peace and inclusivity, while radical elements operate more aggressively behind the scenes. And we're seeing that with Islamists as well at the moment, those that tend to politicize Islam. How could it look in the UK? Examples of strategy. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Education. Including curricula that emphasises one-sided cultural narratives, discouraging criticism, hate speech laws. We've told that law coming in. We can't talk about Islam now. Sharia councils for family disputes, and they're going to be magnified, of course, into other disputes. We know we have Sharia councils already within the UK. Public spaces, we've seen that already. Politics, we're seeing more and more of that, aren't we? We know that. London Mayor, Sadiq Khan, of course, is a Muslim. The London Mayor, ridiculous, mate. That's because London is heavily Muslim. And speech controls. So basically, Islamist movements, not ordinary Muslims, it says here, but activists or political wings may use a sneaky approach by incrementally embedding parallel norms and institutions into British life in ways that are difficult to challenge without being branded intolerant. That's exactly where we are today. But that wasn't good enough for me, was it? So I went a little bit further. I detest Islam. in all its forms. And I make no apology of that as a Christian Roman Catholic. Okay, so I said, all right then. I said, well, how many deaths was the Prophet Muhammad responsible for? And it said, I said in the Quran originally, but it's not in the Quran, of course. It's in the Hadiths, the writing about the life of the Prophet. And a lot of people haven't read the Hadiths, and a lot of people haven't read the Quran. I wouldn't bother. It's monotonous, tedious, it's contradictory, and I wouldn't do it. Go and read the Bible instead. You'll get some really cool stories in the Bible. So it actually said, well, in the Quran, it doesn't describe deaths as such by the Prophet Muhammad, but in the Hadiths, of course, stories of his life, it does. So I said, okay, how many of them? And it goes into it here. Orders a lot of executions, approved punishments, being present at battles where many people died. This is the Prophet Muhammad. Talks about the battles, famous battles. There's some really good books you can read on these, by the way. Some really cool stuff, by the way. In the end, it says, according to the Hadiths and early biographies, Muhammad personally killed no one, but he did order and approve executions. Some people would say that's not true, by the way. A lot of people say it's not true. I oversaw battles where thousands died. The most infamous episode is the blah, 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 blah. I said, so how many deaths was he responsible for? It's hard, my AI says. It's hard, isn't it? I'm not going to get into an argument with Muslims on here about it because I couldn't care less, mate, because you're not going to stay that long anyway. But it says here, assassinations, all the other stuff like that, hundreds to possibly over 1,000 deaths can be attributed to the Prophet Muhammad. All right? So I was like, all right, that's quite interesting, isn't it? And Jesus, I said, it's come on, it's an easy one, isn't it? Muhammad, maybe over 1,000 deaths through battles and executions. Jesus, responsible for 0 deaths and consistently preached non-violence. And I can leave you one thing, a very long video, guys. I could talk forever about this, and we will, but the main thing about it is we're being lectured to by Muslims in a Christian nation, and it shouldn't happen. This young lady here, Marine Khan, is going to talk to us about why we need to bring migrants in. It's not the cleverest fish in the barrel, this girlfriend, you know what I'm saying? Economics editor of the Times. Let's listen to her bollocks first and then we'll discuss it.
Well, it's an interesting question if the Prime Minister believes that he's got more ability to control illegal immigration than he has to raise growth. So maybe it's an admission that this idea that the government is in control of growth in any medium or long-term sense has also been put to the wayside. But the fact that the two are not being intimately connected is also a complete failure of this government. So the Prime Minister is very vocal on the issues of illegal immigration. The Chancellor, whose job it is to ensure that people are working in this country and the economy is growing, also needs migration. And the conflation between illegal immigrants and migrants is one that is made by reform. That line is deliberately blurred, and I think it's going to get blurred even more so. And the reality is this country hasn't really grown in productivity terms for the last 2 decades. The economy grows because the population grows. Tax revenues grow because more people pay those taxes, and often those are newcomers to this country. As a country, we are still able to attract people who want to live and work here. That's not true of lots of aging, developing world economies, and I think we're kind of looking a gift horse in the mouth when we want to say not just no illegal migration, but this will inevitably just spill into a debate about migration, and it will have fantastic economic implications for this country, where migration has basically been the main driver of growth in this country since the financial crisis.
And that is you and I just being lectured to by a Muslim in our Christian nation. I'm going to leave it there, right, guys? But we cannot tolerate this, and that's the important thing. We must not tolerate it, because it will only ever get worse. I could talk to you about this forever. I'm going to stop this video right now, but let me know what you think in the comments. If you want to subscribe, we're doing some deep dives into this. I'll get some people on here to chat about it as well. You know how it is, guys, all right? But keep an eye out for all this stuff. If you see a flag on the street, clap, flash your lights. Go, guys. Yeah, well done for putting it out. And the girls, of course, that are dressed in pink and that are coming up against these hotels. I heard there was like a daylight rape in Canary Wharf the other day. Absolute crazy, where they'd move people into that hotel from the Epping Hotel or whatever it was. Don't tolerate it, all right? This is us protecting our heritage and our ancestry here. No toleration of this militant Islam whatsoever in the UK. Wish you all the best, guys. Tim Davies, Fast Hit Performance.